Welcome to Co-op Mode. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I'm your host, Todd Oxtra, joined by the Canadian Mark Karabin, and we have built a drive-through for the co-op couch. And joining us today is a man who podcasts in his car. That is Mr. Sean Capri. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Finally, we've got a 2-to-1 Canadian to American ratio here, man. I am stoked to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
I'm officially in Lower Canada when Minnesota.
I know, it's almost three. It's almost 3-0. Like,
exactly.
Honorary Canadian here, for sure.
We are the state of hockey, so there we go. We have something in common.
That's true.
Yeah, so Sean, you've been on Secret Friends Unite before. You and Mark go back, and we are happy to have you on this whole weird podcast connecting, almost incestual village that we have created.
Thanks, man. Yeah, you're right. It is a little bit incestual. I think the new podcasts are being like born out of this family tree that we've got going on. They're starting to come out with like an extra finger or like one less eye or something. They're starting to have some weird mutations coming out of the incestual podcast pool. But happy to be part of it. Happy to be more at the top end of the tree.
Be the core rather than one of the odd limbs that stick out there.
I mean, actually, as soon as I said that, I'm like, really, that might be the core issue of the gene pool.
I think that traces back to Bobby, not you.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, so Sean is part of. It used to be the Make Us Better. Then it became the Capri Pants Guru Conundrum Podcast Network, whatever you're calling it now.
Yeah, we don't put anything in permanent ink. We'll just put it that way.
It'll change again.
Ink.
Yeah. But multiple podcasts. We the Gamercast is back. That's a fantastic show. You have Cup of Joe and Nintendo. Then you do the Xbox Drive, and then you do the podcast with Bobby, which is you and me, Capri.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a couple exclusives for the Patreon, and honestly, I can't stop. I tried to figure out a way to do less, but it honestly just didn't work out. I was doing the Gamercast once a month, and I'm like, this isn't quite right. And now it's back weekly, and I am just so excited to be having sweet hangs with friends from the internet. I say strangers, but like really at this point, like to the earlier kind of discussion, it's just like coming back with friends. I usually record on Monday nights, and they release on Mondays, and I'm so grateful because I've got Johnny Casino, who I also met through We the Gamercast. He's editing the podcast now, so really allowing me to do as much as I do. I wouldn't be able to do it without like the friendships and help that I've had along the way, which is incredible. And now I'm here. Now I get to talk about nerdy stuff with you guys, which is awesome.
Yes. And before we get started, gents, what are you geeking out about non-video game happenings?
Sean, go ahead.
Oh man, goodness gracious! There's like so much. Well, they got the Star Wars. Whatchamacallit? Rise of Skywalker landed. Is it today or is it? I think it's on Monday actually in Canada.
No, but they're kind of yesterday on iTunes.
Oh, on iTunes. I saw on Disney Plus is the thing that I'm talking about, where I think Disney's just kind of like, I don't know what you want to call it, if it's capitalizing on the opportunity here with Corona and everything else, but certainly taking advantage of and giving people things to watch as we all self-quarantine over the next couple of weeks. But dude, I actually I don't know what you're allowed to say about Star Wars anymore, but I really liked Rise of Skywalker. The plot holes and whatever else, be damned, but I love me some JJ, and I definitely want to check that out on Disney Plus and take advantage of our subscription there.
Awesome.
Yeah, Frozen 2 is landing there tomorrow. I think 3 months early, so that's kind of a nice one too, right? So I
would just like to see it more and more, honestly, to the point of, I know it'll be the end of theaters for sure, but it would be amazing. I would pay more for a movie to land day and date in theaters and on digital services, just for my whole family to watch the new movie, but come over. Because we have a decent surround sound system and everything. Our setup is pretty good because we bought it back in the day when people actually cared about home theaters. I feel like nobody does anymore. You buy a sound bar and that kind of does the trick now. But I love watching new movies. I just can't get out to the theater as much anymore. And I want to participate in when it comes to video, the noise has kind of died down, right? But with video games, launch date is when. And I think it's the same with movies as well. That's when everybody's excited about it. And that's when everybody's talking about it. But I'm not able to participate in that conversation because I just don't get out to the theater. But I would buy it for a high price if they did theater and digital services on the same day. And even if it was like a one watch kind of scenario, like I don't care, but that would be incredible.
Yeah, they were talking about that at a time. It was going to be like $45 or something. But if you think about that, I mean, a family of four, you can make your own popcorn, have your adult beverages and things like that. You probably come out ahead, and maybe they give you a digital code as well when the movie comes to home video as well.
Right,
so you
and
get a one-time watch. Yeah,
the commercials are out of hand in the theater anyways. Like that's a whole other thing. But I would also want, just because if we ran theaters, I would want a bunch of like top end trailers as well, right? Like, because when you see like a new Marvel movie or something, like you're going to see the movie, but you're also going to see whatever the new trailer is. So they could really make this a thing if they just let maybe the three of us run this thing. If we ran movies, maybe it'll just be a new, I don't know, like a podcast or like an initiative. Like the three of us could start. Just off the top of my head.
Charlie and I have been known to get Hollywood execs to do what we've suggested.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah.
It's a good superpower to have.
Mark, what about you?
Kind of the same stuff, honestly. My wife was very, very excited with the news that Disney Plus is getting Frozen 2 specifically, so she's looking forward to seeing that one. And it's great that Star Wars is releasing early and everything. It's good stuff. Otherwise, not too much non-video game related. We'll talk about some video game stuff very shortly, but that's a pretty short list for me. Although I do have to shout out James Johnson. We've been having I think we're on maybe week 5 now of little Apple Watch workout competitions, and we were tied 2 versus 2. And James just won last week, so it was within like a couple of points. It was so close. We were both pushing each other so much through the last week, and it's been fun. It's been tough with the weather here. Like, we've had I'll be ahead a little bit, and then we'll have some really nasty weather that'll kind of keep me indoors, and I'll try to do some Ring Fit or something, but still maybe not be able to catch up, or because I'm stuck in, and I'll do like 40 minutes straight of Ring Fit Adventure. And I texted him the other day after I did one of those, like 35 minutes or something, and a 7-minute workout. And I was just like, I caught up to you. My eyes are sweating and my hair is sweating and I'm disgusting, but I caught up to you. And he was just like, he couldn't believe it. Yeah. Shout out to James, because man, he's keeping me motivated on the fitness front for sure. So it's fun, man. Aside from that, that's about all my non-video game, and I even somehow managed to fit video games into that. But yeah, the gamification of working out is fun and real, and I'm feeling the springtime getting those winter weights off. So yeah.
I'm a little jealous because I have tried to find Ring Fit Adventure and it's sold out everywhere. It's ridiculous.
Apparently in North America, like completely sold out. Yeah.
So I'm going to make my own Ring Fit Adventure. I'm going to break out Wii Sports, and I'm going to get a hula hoop.
Nice.
And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to duct tape it together with the Wiimote. It's going to be fantastic.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. One thing I am geeking out about. I don't know if you guys watch the show, but Lego Masters. No. It is fantastic. Will, what's his name? Plays Lego Batman.
Will Arnett.
He hosts it, and it is a competition with adult teams where these are Lego expert builders, but these are not like professionals. These are just people, like there's a married couple that's what they do in their spare time. They build these phenomenal creation structures. Every episode's themed. There's competition. It's absolutely awesome. And one of my best friends, her previous college roommate, is on the show. Crazy guy. His name's Sam. He's got a weird mohawk and everything. But this is such a great show to watch with the kids, the family. It's so much fun, and just seeing these creative people do their things. It's on Fox, so I'm assuming it's abroad and on other networks overseas and in Canada as well. But if you guys get a chance, watch it. Sean, I think I really think Link would love it and go crazy.
That would be amazing. Yeah. Well, with Nintendo launching their whole like Lego and Nintendo line, a lot of people were tagging me on Twitter earlier this week saying like, you've got to get this for Link. And like, I don't know, maybe like people can reach out to me with advice and whatnot, because I'm definitely open to it. I just don't know about like the choking head. Like Lego's still kind of small and pointy, and we haven't really. Yeah, I think we're kind of at that point, especially with like Ellie crawling around and shoving everything she can in her face. But Lego, like, he is so actually, even I think Ellie even more so, very, very tactile. Like they love picking things up, and as much as Lincoln is really enjoying Animal Crossing right now, which is hilarious, he'll still like he'll close it up and then he'll go play with stuff. He likes to touch things and draw things and kind of just stack things and things like that. So Lego would be incredible, and to see like at a master's level, it's like esports for Lego. That sounds awesome. Or regular sports for Lego, I guess.
Exactly. That's what all we're doing these days. It's people just broadcasting building Legos at their house. There you go. That's our new sport. Yes.
That sounds great. Anything that people do really well, I enjoy, man. Like draw anything, like whatever it is. If somebody's really good at their craft or their hobby, like I want to see it. Like speed running is a good example. Anything that like podcasting, anything.
Yeah. And speaking about what we're really good about, and that is video games. So what have you guys been playing expertly this week? So Sean, we'll start with you.
Ooh, man, I don't know if I'm playing anything expertly, but I did finish Ori and the Will of the Wisps. And Todd, I think I saw that you were playing that as well.
Yes.
And man, that is something I don't know that I was playing well. I don't know if I'm really good at it, but I certainly finished it. Game kicks my butt, that's for sure. But it kicks me in the feels as well. That game is something really special and accessible to everybody, pretty much everybody with an Xbox because of Game Pass. And I really took advantage of going back and forth between Xbox and PC through the Play Anywhere and the cross save and everything. It's just like it's totally seamless. And man, I talked about it in the Xbox Drive for sure. This is a true masterpiece for Xbox. The only caveat there is still some of that performance stuff still kind of hanging around even after the day one patch. Just enough that I have to mention it. But otherwise, like Ryan Turford maybe said it best. Like this is one of the best Metroidvanias available, and it's better than the first game in pretty much every single way, other than the fact that you'd already seen Ori before. Right, like if you've seen like the first time you play Ori, it's like holy crap, this thing is gorgeous, and the music's incredible, and the way that the skills evolve is perfect. So once you kind of have that already, like that wow factor's kind of gone. But this is a bigger, better experience than Ori and the Blind Forest. But the name kind of just gets to me a little bit, Todd. That's it. The Will of the Wisps.
Will of the Wisps. Yes, I don't know if there's a wisp. I haven't seen a willow. Just like the Blind Forest is kind of awkward. I had to go and play it on my PC as well because on the Xbox One S, it was chugging. I'd slow down. I had the resolution dropped below 720, and I'm like, I don't know about that. So
really.
Yeah, it was horrible. I took video of it. I'm like, it looks grainy and subpar. And I'm like, I'm checking all my settings. I have a 4K TV. Xbox says it supports 4K, HDR, all this fun stuff, and it did not look good. But I played it on my PC and it was perfect. So I can't really complain now. And the cross saves are phenomenal. It is one of the best features.
It really is. That game is, and it feels so great. And they didn't lose really. They changed up quite a bit of it actually in terms of how Ori attacks and how he traverses through. Like even there's a bash feature where you can crash through some glowing orbs or hanging kind of like vines with like a glowing thing on it, or through enemies. And so there's some that you go through the environment like sand, and then there's some that you go through enemies, and they're left bumper and right bumper. And through some of the escape sequences, they kind of go back and forth. So that broke my brain just a little bit every once in a while trying to, and also I have to admit, with an Elite controller with the paddles on the back, I use one of the paddles as A. I'm rarely using my face buttons anymore, but A is one of my paddles on the back. So between the paddles on the back and then the bumpers on either side, I'm just like, this is like, it's like a game of Simon. Like that like bop it, twist it and thing. Like it was definitely a little bit of that. But honestly, like I finished it up earlier this week. I've moved on to Dragon Age Origins. I wanted to fire that up, one of my favorite games ever that I'm sure we'll talk about in a second here. But honestly, guys, all I can think about is Ori. I keep thinking about how it kind of is like Breath of the Wild in the way of having to go out and reach out to the 4 different giant animals to help you move on to the next part. And it's just so great and so different and so challenging that once you get over the hump of that challenge, it's got that Dark Souls kind of reward in the end. I keep thinking about it. I want to play it again.
I'm stuck. and that's where I'm frustrated right now.
We should talk. Where are you stuck at?
I'm stuck because I need the ability where you crash through floors.
Oh yeah,
and I need to talk to the guy to get it. I can't find him. I see his little image on the map. I go back there. He's not there. I'm like, is there like a glitch or something going on?
That's the thing that's the most frustrating part about a game with a glitch, particularly challenging games with a glitch, is that you don't know if you're coming up against the game or if you've got a glitch. And sometimes like I felt like I was coming up on a glitch, and it's like, so I looked it up. Where am I supposed to go? And it's like, no glitch. I was just dumb. So
that's what I worry about. I'm just dumb too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think though the icons are in odd spaces as well to get the. So you need like that. It really is the only way, because the first thing that I got was that Spirit Smash. So the hammer. I think.
I don't have that.
I think that's what you need.
I got the bow and arrow. I got the I got the like the extra the butterfly that actually attacks for you, and that's what I really like about the game. It allows you to really develop your approach to the game with the power-ups you choose, and even the I don't know what they call them, the shards, where it's like, allows you to provide extra 50% of extra damage, but you get extra you get 50% extra damage inflicted upon you too.
Right.
So it's that betting mechanic of like, well, I'm gonna bet on this that I'm better than I will be if I don't use this. So I like that. I love the what they've added to this. It's a beautiful game. I mean, it always has been. So I can't say enough about the game. And I never beat the original Ori because I got stuck, and I just went on to something else. So I don't want to do that though. So I need to go where I'm going. Mark, did you get to play it?
No, you know what? I've been holding off. Specifically for the reasons that you guys have been saying. I've heard a lot of people say that there have been issues, performance or glitch, otherwise, whatever. And I thought the first Ori game was absolutely beautiful. And with this being on Game Pass and with having several other things to play, I said, you know what? I'm going to wait until that stuff gets sorted out. And I knew there was a day one patch, and I knew that didn't fix everything. So for me, as much as I want to play this, I'm kind of holding back a little bit, and it's a little painful, but I'm hoping I will have a better experience. And it's kind of like what you said earlier with, it's a little tough, like where you said not seeing a movie when it's really in the zeitgeist. Hearing everyone talk about this game, it is tough to not just remote download it on my Xbox and just jump in and play it. But
which Xbox are you on again, Mark?
One X.
Yeah, I mean, like I didn't experience what Todd was saying with the S and the drop in frame in resolution or anything like that. Like one of the reasons that I really bring up the performance things is mostly just to round out my extremely glowing review of it. Like it sounds like, from my perspective, I think it sounds like more of an issue than it really is. It's just like you almost like have to mention it, because otherwise it's like the game is perfect. It's so incredible. It's essentially like going from SteamWorld Dig to SteamWorld Dig 2. It's a very similar type of evolution. Like it looks just that much better, that much more sheen and polish, other than the drops in frames and everything like that. But the game is really, really solid, and the story is heartwarming or heart-wrenching, really. You shouldn't avoid it for that, I wouldn't say, unless you were on the S, in which case but the drops in performance on the X aren't nearly as bad as maybe we're making it out to sound.
Okay, all right. Maybe I will download it if I get a little bit bored.
Nothing like later, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's not even close to anything like that. Was really. Oh, and
I didn't really experience.
That's hilarious.
I didn't either.
I really didn't get a single I think I fell through a wall once. And then just jumped right back in, and the save or whatever luckily was like right where I fell through, kind of thing.
Isn't that the funny thing about bugs too? Like you might not have any issues at all.
Yeah, so. Depends on where you're playing it. I think we're all playing it. I was playing it on a PS4 Pro. Mark, you're probably playing an Xbox One X, and Sean.
Yeah, I was on X. I was One X too. Yep.
One thing I have been playing was, I'm going to skip the first couple of things I wanted to talk about because I'll talk about some stuff later. Round Guard is a new game that I picked up and was playing. So I was playing this on Apple Arcade. It was released, I want to say yesterday, I believe. But it also is out on at least Switch and possibly the other consoles. I'll have to look that up. But if you're an Apple Arcade subscriber or you haven't been and you have an Apple device, check it out because at least looking on my Switch in Canadian dollars, it is $24.99. And that is a lot of monthly subscriptions to Apple Arcade. So check it out there if you can, because if you are a fan of Peggle, this is a game for you. Ooh. This is fantastic. It's like Peggle with fun, like RPG-esque characters. So there's like light RPG elements where you can level up your character. You can get new armor, new weapons, all this kind of stuff. There's branching paths and a whole bunch of different stuff. It is really cool, but it is very much Peggle gameplay. Like you aim your character at the start and then shoot them at the enemies or the pegs or whatever on the screen to try to get health and mana and do damage. But every time you do damage, you take damage from the enemies that you're attacking. So it's a big balancing act that way. I got super hooked on this yesterday, like super hooked, that I played it for several hours last night and ended up getting, I think, the 49th best score in the world already. So I'm sure that's already gone down because, you know, a lot of people are probably playing this on Apple Arcade. But man, I got
top 50.
And it is, super, super fun.
Battle Peggle? It's like Battle Peggle.
It is, yeah, Battle Peggle. It's
so weird.
Yeah, it is so entertaining, and you have the different power-ups and stuff, and the story is super light, but there is like every once in a while some little funny animated character will pop up and just be like, what are you doing here? Like, attack the Rat King. And you'd be like, I don't want to attack the Rat King. And they're like, go attack the Rat King. It's cool. And it's super dumb and just super fun, but like it's a perfect kind of arcade game. So like I said, Apple Arcade, or if you're not into the monthly subscription services, check it out elsewhere. But touchscreen controls confirmed. I'm gonna try it out later, probably on the maybe Apple TV or something, because I do want to try it with a controller. Might even hook it up to the Xbox controller and the little mount that I got. But super fun. Nice. Try that one, Round Guard.
I eventually have to get back on that service because I've yet to try the trial. I've got an iPad and I've also got a controller that I can connect it with. My son was kind of excited about it, so I might as well try it. I mean, why not?
Mm-hmm. Todd, what about you? What have you been playing?
Well, curiosity got the better of me, and I played the Final Fantasy VII demo. And wow, this game is beautiful. This is the only JRPG, originally when this came out, that I've ever beat. I have nostalgia for this game, and man, it is a beautiful game. It plays completely different than the original, and there is many ways to play this. Basically the demo is the opening of the game, and you beat the first boss. I did not beat the first boss because apparently I suck. But it is a lot of fun, and it's neat. You can play it multiple ways. You can play it traditionally where it's more turn-based. You can play it more action-oriented, and then you can control your teammates at any time, which is kind of fun. So I was playing Cloud. I ended up getting incapacitated by a boss, so then Barrett took over. And it is a little bit different because when you're getting attacked, you have to dash. You have to get out of the way versus, regular turn-based. You'll basically get attacked or use a guard or something like that. So there's multiple ways to play this game, and I like that. They're basically trying to make the people that really like the Final Fantasy 15 style of combat, that's there. But also if you like a throwback mechanic, it's there as well. It's beautiful. The voice acting is really good, but the scripting feels like a 1999 JRPG script. It's like Kingdom Hearts 3 dialogue. It's really painful, and I just really struggle with those games now because I know people are really passionate about JRPGs and everything, but it's very hard for me to really think, wow, this is great voice acting. This is really great performance when the script is just so bad. And maybe it's great in Japanese and we're Americans are just dumb and we just don't understand this. But to me, it's really hard to say this is a great job of really eliciting emotion and things when it's just so bad. It's like a B, or it's like The Room. Nobody said The Room should be a video game, and this is kind of the level of performance acting we're getting. And I think I blame maybe more of the fact that they're not having a good localization.
Yeah.
Rather than a translation, which I think limits it. But I mean, it's out there. If you guys want to play it, if you have a PS4, it's out there. It's an hour long. You
really sold me on it, Todd.
Yeah.
I think the combat.
Let me stop you right there and go play this.
Well, I mean, everything but that. But I mean, I think most people who are playing this game are playing it for the nostalgia. Anybody new, though, I don't know how they'll take the story and the acting and those type of things, because it does feel subpar, I would say, compared to other video games we've seen. So, but it's cool. I thought it was really neat. I will not be playing this because I got enough of that nostalgia from that 1 hour that I don't need to go back and play a game I played previously. So it's there if you want to play it.
I was really not sure where you were going to go with it feels like a 1999 JRPG. I'm like, is it nostalgia that he's going to be talking about? And then you went right after the script, man. Holy cow. Yeah. Just tears it apart. I love it.
Yeah, comparing it to The Room, man, that
just kept going.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, not high on my list for sure. I mean, it wasn't anyway, but hearing that if they're putting that much effort into a game where it's going to be spanning multiple episodes, I suppose is how they're pitching it, right?
I think so.
Something like that. Yeah. And they're upgrading everything, and they're really making this something, a big event, really. You would think they'd put more time into the localization or the scripting. It could be one of a couple of things. It could be just a bad script is a bad script, or it could be bad localization. Who knows? But yeah, all right. Thanks for the impressions on Sean. So Sean not only confirmed that Round Guard is available for other consoles, but very graciously just offered a code for Xbox, which is amazing.
Ooh, nice.
So let's pull the curtains back here and let the listeners in, maybe, unless you want to cut right now and we'll figure it out behind the scenes and then come back. How do you want to give this away? Do you want to add it into call into the show and leave a voice?
I think so. Yeah, round two. I think we'll do this round. Yeah, I think we'll do this round two because we're going to have actually a call in that everybody's going to actually get to respond to in this episode. We have an entry into that contest. So I think that's the perfect place. So thank you, Sean. That's really nice.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, as Mark was kind of saying, I'm like, I think this may have just come up because we're very lucky to get a lot of the ID at Xbox games that come through. And so I was like, I'm pretty sure I just saw this title come through, and sure enough, that's it. And what better way to just when you talk about a game, you're like, I want people to play this. Go ahead, here. That's kind of what I was thinking. Somebody should go play this game. Somebody who might have liked what they heard, they can just go go win this code now. So yeah, go nuts.
Perfect. Yeah. So Todd, yeah, what do you think? Voicemail then?
Yeah, I think so. I like the voicemail. That works perfect. Yes.
So call into the hotline. It is 872-225-2496. Leave a voicemail, 3 minutes or less. And any specifications on this? Do you want them to have to do something silly or goofy, or just call in with saying, "Hey, I'd love that code. I'd love how this game sounds." How do you want the monkeys to dance?
Oh my gosh, this was not part of the deal. You know what, man? Just send well wishes to Mark and Todd. They say you love the show, pump their tires a little bit, and go play some fun games together.
All right, perfect.
Woohoo! Awesome. Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
And games you can play together or against each other is a certain little battle royale that launched, and you two have played it. I have not.
Mm-hmm.
I played a little bit of it, and so obviously Call of Duty Warzone dropped. It's been rumored for quite a while, and you can play it as part of Modern Warfare. You can also download it separately. And I don't know, Mark, I don't know if you had Modern Warfare earlier, or if this was your first download into it.
Yeah.
We should play it together, by the way, because I actually really quite like the original kind of like multiplayer package that came with the game. This game, not so. I'm more of a traditional type of multiplayer Call of Duty kind of person. I don't even like when zombies get too complicated. And this is battle royale on steroids, man. Like they've got the gulag where you die and you have a chance to like battle it out one-on-one to try and come back, which is very interesting. It's probably my favorite part of it.
It's a cool mechanic, yeah.
I think I just need practice with it, which is always the hardest thing with Battle Royale, because if it seems like overnight people get good at it instantly, and I'm just so out of the loop on that kind of stuff. And with so many other things to play, I think to Mark's earlier point, I don't know if this one's going to be quite sticky, where I've got a lot of other things, even just to do within Call of Duty. But I don't know if you had a different experience, Mark.
Not quite. I don't have a ton of time into this game so far, and I just fairly recently, within the last couple of months, picked up Modern Warfare, so haven't done a ton of multiplayer in that game as well, like the proper
I love
multiplayer. But yeah, I mean, I've always been a big fan of Call of Duty multiplayer. I've been curious to see what they do with Battle Royale this time around, and from what I played, it is definitely interesting. It's not worrying too much about what other battle royales are doing, it seems.
Yeah,
because there's so many different things. There's vehicles and like you said, the gulag, where you get killed and you essentially get thrown into prison and have to fight one person one-on-one in order to get thrown back in the game. And if you lose there, your teammates can still get you, but they have to pay. So there's money around the arena that they can go and collect that money and then go to a drop station and pay. Or they could spend their money on weapon upgrades or other things, or if
or
they
self-revive.
Really yeah.
So I was playing with Badbit, and he's excellent. That's maybe the other thing is like, I'm so bad. He's so good. But he, because we were all learning it all at the same time, he was trying to revive me, but he accidentally purchased a self-revive so that later when he died, he could pick himself back up. But it turned out perfect, because I'm just sitting there eating ice cream, right? Chelsea brought me some Dairy Queen. I'm sitting there eating the Dairy Queen, and then he's going off and he's killing everybody. Like he's going on this rampage. Finally, he gets knocked down. He's like, "Oh, I've got a self-revive." So he gets himself back up, and he actually wins, gets us across the finish line, gets us a victory chicken dinner royale or whatever it was called, champions. But yeah, there's like, the thing is, like when we talk about this game, there's so much to like about it. Like everything we just said, awesome. The vehicles are so much fun. Like the currency aspect of things, the gulag and everything, it feels like Call of Duty, which is great. You can bring in your own loadouts from your custom loadouts that you build in regular multiplayer. There's a way to bring those in, which I feel like is cheating, but it feels awesome. I don't know why it's just not like sticking with me. It's just like, maybe I just need maybe a little bit more time, but there is a lot to like here. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like feeling like dead weight playing with Badbit. Maybe that's my problem.
Yeah, they'll play with me. I'm
we'll suck together.
Not quite at Badbit levels. Yeah. We can suck together.
Yeah, man.
You guys can hold each other while you're getting killed.
There you go. Yeah, for me, it's the reason I put so much time into Fortnite and this game is, it's not Fortnite, so it's taking me a little while to get used to the mechanics and first person and all that kind of stuff. It's been a while since I put any significant amount of time into a Call of Duty multiplayer. But I want to, and I've been trying to get the guys that I usually play Fortnite with, be like, guys, it's free, check it out. Because there's been a few of them complaining, you shoot once and someone builds a 5-star hotel with Wi-Fi and a swimming pool in Fortnite. It's crazy, right? Or like, it's either that or we come across goons and we get 5 victory royales in a row, and it's just like, is it a challenge? It's either not a challenge or too much of a challenge. There's no middle ground we find sometimes. So I've been trying to get them, everyone download this. It's crossplay. It's free.
Crossplay is huge.
There's no building.
That's awesome.
And hopefully I can get a few people in there, or if we start playing together, that to me is the aspect of Fortnite that I like the most, of just being able to get together with some friends, a couple of guys I used to work with, and a couple of other guys that I normally play with, getting together and just being able to make fun of each other while we're playing, or talk, or do whatever, or strategize as a team. That to me is the best part of Fortnite. And if I can bring that over to here, really it doesn't matter what we're playing as long as we're playing something together, right? So that could be a big part of whether I stick with this game or not, is finding that crew to drop in with. So mechanically, I am super impressed, and staying power will be decided by who's there, basically.
Yeah. It seems like 15 million people jumped on board within the first couple of days too. Like they're blasting through these milestones. Like every new battle royale now, it seems like just crashes through some of these incredible milestones. One thing that I just briefly mentioned, one of the reasons that is maybe keeping me away from this game is all my friends are playing The Division 2 right now, either on Xbox or on PC, and The Division 2 has made a huge comeback. And I know when like the Destiny crew is like kind of split a little bit on, do they stick with Destiny or do they go over to the Division 2? That game is rock solid, man. That game is so much fun. So much to do with that one.
Yeah, that was a great move to make that game $3 to get people into it just before it dropped. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I bought it for $3 and still haven't fired it up. That's another problem that I've had the last little bit. I guess getting ready for the baby to come in a couple of months. I have been really most of my gaming time has been little pick up and play things like Round Guard or picking up Pokemon again, and specifically going after one Pokemon to fill my Pokemon Dex or my Pokemon Home Index or whatever, which was the other kind of game that I've been picking at. In our list, the show notes, I wrote Pokemon Home, and that's basically been it. I've been trying to complete the Pokedex through Pokemon Home, and it's literally just been jumping in and being like, okay, what do I need? Hitmonlee? Okay, where can I find that? What game can I get them in? Let's go farm a Hitmonlee, take 15 minutes out of my time, or okay, I need this thing to get to level 20 because I need it to evolve into the next thing so I can add that to my Dex. Let's spend 15 minutes leveling up, and that's it. And then I can go back to whatever it is, building a crib or picking out paint colors or an outfit or whatever, right? Like that's my life right now. And I don't think it's going to get any easier anytime soon. So, jumping into a game as a service game, it's tough. And I have been picking at Fortnite and Rocket League and now Call of Duty and, trying to determine whether I want to jump into the next season of Destiny or if I want to try the Division 2 game. It's a rough time for my gaming life for sure.
I'll bet, man.
Mark, I thought you'd be getting like babysitting mama for Wii or something so you could practice.
Not quite yet, but I mean, I have been hatching a couple of eggs in Pokemon, so I mean that's kind of the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, exactly. Putting that in your basket or adding it to your team and then running around. That's how babies grow, right?
I hope you don't. That's the same thing. I hope you aren't disappointed by the Pokemon that Lauren hatches, because that would be sad.
Yeah. What do you mean it's only level 1?
Can we try again?
Yeah. Normal type. Come on.
Exactly. So I've got a
comes out shooting fire from its ass. I'm going to be worried.
Well, they'll shoot something from their ass. There's a term called blowout, and that's a special ability. Yeah. Or poop in the bathtub. It depends on what they do.
Code Brown.
Yes. Yes. So Pokemon Home, is that just for the traditional games, or does that cross over with Pokemon Go?
It does not cross over with Pokemon Go yet. Apparently they are working on that. And really, Pokemon Home right now only works with Sword and Shield and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. You can import things from Pokemon Bank from older games. So I did that a little bit with, I fired up some older games on the 3DS and the DS and transferred some stuff there. And I'm trying to decide if I want to go back and put some time into those games like Heart Gold and that kind of stuff to really try to fully round out like the national Pokedex. Because right now I'm working on like those original 151, the Kanto Dex. That's it, right? Like from whatever, Bulbasaur to Mew, essentially. That's what I'm trying to fill. If I can get those 151 for the first time in 20 years since Red and Blue first came out, I'll be happy for some weird little reason that's bugging my brain. Pokemon Home right now is available, for your phone and Switch, and it is a yearly subscription. I think it's $25, which some people were outraged over like $25 because I guess Pokemon Bank was $5, but I never really subscribed to that before, so I had no reference point to piss me off or annoy me. But anyway, I don't know. It's been cool so far. I can swap Pokemon back and forth and trade my brother and all that kind of crap. So it's fine. It's fine. Sean, you mentioned quickly Dragon Age Origins.
Oh, wow.
For anyone that listened to your amazing talk with Kaylee, I don't think this is going to be a surprise that you jump back into this game. That was such a delightful episode. I love that We the Gamercast is back in full swing. It is literally, I would say, my favorite show on the internet because you are one of the best, most natural interviewers that I've ever heard. And like, seriously, if no one's heard this show before, if you're listening right now, subscribe. It is a masterclass in how to conduct an interview with someone and make a stranger from the internet a friend from the internet. And you say it's about games, but it covers so much other stuff, kind of circling back and making it a little bit about games, but it's more about games and life, and a big emphasis on the life part. But the conversation with Kaylee was so fun and so nerdy, and I love it when you just get generally geeky like that. So tell us a little bit about Dragon Age Origins and how you got back into that and why you're going to play it.
My God, man. Well, thank you. First of all, that's way too kind. Just faking it till I make it, man. And honestly, like, I just rely on great guests. That's truly the power of the show. Gosh, thank you. Dragon Age, it's been on my mind for a while now. Actually, I actually talk about it in the upcoming episode with Andrew Semichek as well. Like, it's been on my mind for a bit, and anybody who's played it, they know. But anybody who's not played it, I kind of want to just jump into this just for a quick second to say this is one of my favorite games of all time. It was the very first game that I played where I'm like, I need to go find more about it. Right, like in the middle of me playing, I'm like, there's got to be a podcast about this game. There's got to be like the wiki, like the wiki pages, like the fan pages and everything like that. I jumped into a podcast called Dragon Age OTR for Off the Record, and I just couldn't get enough of this thing. I loved everything about it, and you basically start things out, and this is one of the biggest reasons I wanted to jump back into it, having only played through it once before, back in 2015, I think, just after Inquisition came out. I was about to play back in 2015. I was just about to play Inquisition. I played maybe an hour of it. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Why don't I just go back and play through Origins? Loved it, played through 2, and then played through Inquisition. Like, those were the first 3 months of 2015 for me. I'm like, that's a different time, man. Where I was able
These
to
are not short games.
They're not short games. But I was just looking at my achievement list going like, dude, I crushed Origins back in. I did like the whole thing within a couple of weeks, and I just couldn't get enough of it. And one of the reasons I feel like you don't see this anymore, even within the BioWare games. You could pick, I think there's actually 6 origin stories that you can, that's why it's called Origins. So you can pick like a mage, male or female. You can pick an elf, male or female, or a human, or a dwarf. And they all have completely different starting points. Like, the first couple hours are like not just variants, like not like you're on this side of the room or that side of the room. You're in like opposite ends of Ferelden, the land that you're playing in. And the origin stories are so compelling. I'm playing as an elf right now, and I started the day off as it's the wedding day. I'm playing as a female, so I'm the bride, and I don't want to get married. It's an arranged marriage. And then like these humans come in, like elves in Dragon Age are they're free, but they are historically they were slaves, so they're still kind of like, they're not quite equal, and still, so there's kind of like a racism kind of overtone to it, or undertone, I guess. And so you start the game, and then all of a sudden you're in jail. Like, they kind of like throw you away, and you got to get yourself out of that. But if you start as a mage, my first playthrough, you're introduced to this squealy kind of weaselly friend named Jowan, who's maybe not dabbling into the dark arts of becoming a blood mage, but he's also like banging one of the church ladies. Like, he's like, it's like this forbidden love. Like, it is absolutely incredible, the stories that are here to explore. And then in the Dwarfland, it's in Orzammar, it's incredible as well. A lot of political stuff happening over there. So you got to even just play the origin stories just to experience that kind of stuff. And the gameplay is is fine, but it's really just the story that is the reason that I really want to jump into it. Now, with all that said, one of my favorite games ever, I will say now that I'm jumping back into it, the combat's pretty rough. It's pretty it's pretty tough to get back into this game, depending on the class of character that you're in. So that's been a bit of a challenge over the last little bit. But I spent the last couple of days a little bit sick, and I figure I just finished Ori. This has been on my mind. I kept like hovering around. I don't know if you guys do this when you're choosing what game is next. You're like, I had it there. I was about to press A, and I moved on to next. I'm like, I don't think so. And I just kept coming back to it. So I'm loving Dragon Age Origins. It's an older game, but it's a great game, and people should, if you've missed that sort of thing from your games, like where player choice matters, like you can make a choice and it just happens like that, and it like somebody's dead forever. Or you save them and then they come back around. They matter later on in the game, or they even matter back in Dragon Age 2 or Inquisition as well. Like the flow through in that era of BioWare games is masterclass, man. So I love it, and I've just been enjoying it. It's kicking my butt for sure, because it's a kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons. It's very similar to, it's like a 3D version of Baldur's Gate. Very, very challenging in that way, but my God, what an absolute masterful game.
Yeah, that game is full of gray choices, not black, not white, and the unintended consequences will come back, and those are the best type of games. The Witcher has a bunch of those as well. Mass Effect kind of went the opposite way and said, like, you got to be either really good or really bad, and that kind of, they lost that sense of, I guess, feeling that they could just play with some dynamics of it. You guys keep talking. My PC's about to die. I need to grab the power cord. Hold on.
Oh, I'll talk about Dragon Age all day long, man. I'm coming up to Redcliffe. There's this kid who's like possessed by a demon, and you're coming up with this choice. What do you do with this kid? He's going to ruin everything, Mark. You kill the kid and then take care of the demon all of itself, or do you risk your life and risk everything else trying to go into the demon world called the Fade and try to take care of the demon that way? Maybe save the kid, but maybe you ruin everything trying to do that. Like my first playthrough, I killed that. You better believe I killed that kid. Like he's like this 9-year-old. His name's Connor. He's cute as hell.
Take him out.
Take him out, man.
Yep. So why do you think companies have gone away from this? Do you think there's too much complexity in other aspects of games where the worlds are so alive and there's kind of no constraints anymore graphically and this and that, and they don't have time to spend on these diverging story paths? Or do you think people are just kind of, or developers, I don't want to say lazy, but they're taking the easier way out of saying, well, it's an open world, so we're not going to script all these intricate stories and that kind of stuff. What do you think? Why are these games not really popping up anymore?
I think it's data driven. I think there was a story recently that said like 90% of people who played Mass Effect chose the good guy side of things, and that's got to discourage you from doing that. And then also, this game, as I mentioned, is kind of like that natural progression from if you were just playing those top-down, very text-heavy RPGs, maybe even like turn-based RPGs. That's kind of what we were expecting there, which just from a design standpoint and writing standpoint, that was already challenging, but at least you didn't have to roll it out in a production. Like you didn't have to have somebody like do the voice acting or animation capture, anything like that. So it seemed like that was where games were going, especially if people who play like Chrono Trigger or anything like that, anything with like branching endings and storylines. That's what our expectations were from role-playing games. And when we went from like 2D into 3D in the open world, we got a little bit of that. But yeah, to your point, like it's hard as hell. And now data is showing what people actually do, and it can't be worth it. This seemed to be like the original two guys who started BioWare. That was where their heart was, like of making that the core of the games, and they've since moved on. And I think that takes a very particular person to want to design a game in that way and to produce it in that way, where you don't have to do that to sell games. That's the thing. Like you don't really, and that's kind of like one of the things I was really looking forward to, rightfully or wrongfully, with Anthem. I wanted branching storylines. You think that with all those people and all the factors, the number of people, the permutations and combinations that would be available with all the people playing that game, that would be possible. But I mean, it wasn't even close to that, like on a number of fronts. But yeah, I think that it's just they can see what people do, and they'll now cater to what people actually do versus what creators come like kind of like growing up wanting to create.
Yeah, I mean, we've got like CD Projekt Red. I mean, there's quests in Witcher 3 that I didn't even touch, and all those quests are almost better than a lot of main storylines in a lot of games. And with Cyberpunk, I mean, the way they operate, there's probably going to be so many different stories they tell in that game. So I think some people are doing it right, but yeah, to your point, a lot of people aren't because people only have so much time to game, and not everybody's going to put their heart and soul in the full game to get the full experience like you would, Sean, with playing Dragon Age Origins with 8 characters.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that now, like with that not being, it hasn't become mainstream. Those games will stand out so much more. Like that's the best thing is that the ones that will put the time in to create something truly unique, those games will stand out, and there's so much heart and soul that CD Projekt Red especially, and that's what we used to get from BioWare as well, that CD Projekt puts into those games, and people resonate with that big time. So I'm glad to see that game is getting hyped up so much. I think there's going to be a ton of people playing it, and I can't wait. Guys, Keanu Reeves is in that game. Don't forget. Like,
I love you.
Seriously,
you're breathtaking.
Yeah, I mean, and to the point, I mean, I know you're. I was going to say, Sean, your wife is really into Fallout, and Fallout 76 is basically making Fallout 76 into a real Fallout game. They're adding all the NPCs, all the storylines that people love. So it's kind of amazing. I think people are pushing back on. The mechanics aren't what make Fallout great. It's the storyline, the interactions, and the things that happen, and the jank to a certain extent.
It's the changing. It's the like I'm making an impact on this world. Like when I get into it, it's going to be different than before. And that's the thing about role playing games that maybe we've kind of like gone away from a little bit. But I just having played Dragon Age now, it's like you really only get what's really challenging because you only really get like one shot. It's not like a JRPG or some of the other games where you could just kind of like go grind out XP. Like you kind of have to make the right choices at the right time. Otherwise, you may have a dead playthrough, which is a turnoff for some people. It's definitely a turnoff for me. I may run into a place where I realize that this isn't the best start that I've had. I may have to go back at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that with oh shoot, what was the game? Skyrim.
Yeah.
In one of my when I first picked it up on Switch, and I had played it on 360 and kind of knew where I went in that playthrough, so I decided to kind of take a different path and ended up in a place where I just felt like it was like you said, a dead playthrough, that it was just like I've got to wipe this and start over, and it was disheartening because I did put, I'm gonna say 15 hours or more, maybe 20 at that point into this playthrough, and then so I was kind of at a decent amount of time into this, but at the same time not even scratching the surface of where I thought the game could go. So it was one of those frustrating things of like, I just dumped a ton of time into this, and now I need to delete it and start over. It sucked.
It's like picking the wrong class or race.
I think that's what I did. I think that's actually what I did. Yeah. But I just wanted to see. I just wanted to see the origin. It's a different origin story.
Of course. Todd, you have one more game that you've been playing. What anything as in-depth as
No, not at all. This game is not in-depth at all. This game is your updated 16-bitification of the classic brawler. This is by Devolver Studios, and it is definitely a weird game. You're basically in a post-apocalyptic Russia. It's a beat 'em up. It's very Russian. You can pick your character. It's Streets of Rage, but they've added some mechanics where you can steal like this weird concoction from corpses to get your health back up, or it makes you rage. There's mutants all over the place. There's some weird like escort missions, which is kind of interesting in a beat 'em up, but it's so fun. It's not an in-depth game, but it's definitely tongue-in-cheek. It's over the top. It feels like a classic 80s action film as well. Tango and Cash, Cobra, whatever you want to play, whatever you like. And it's there. It's on Game Pass, so it's on PC. I don't know if it's on Xbox or not, but check it out. It's just a nice distraction, and it's a nice update to a classic beat-em-up genre that I really enjoy a lot. I don't know if there's co-op or not. I think there is, but I'm not sure if it's local or online. But definitely check it out. It's free to try, and it's probably not going to be a long experience.
That is Mother Russia Bleeds, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
And it is, I'm looking up on the Game Pass app right now. It is PC only at the current time, on Game Pass at least. don't know if it's out for other consoles. That'd be something
I think you need like a 1080 GTI Super to run it anyways.
Yeah, right.
That's holding it back. Yeah, all those pixels. So many pixels. Yeah. So that takes us out of the news this week. We get into news flash. We're going to make this a little bit of a lighter news section at the beginning. And how do you make it lighter? You come out with some awesome clothes by Levi's and Nintendo, guys. This is like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air fashion plate show from the mall. It's something. It's definitely something. Mercy. When I first saw this teased, I thought, oh shoot, I just bought 2 new pairs of jeans from Old Navy. That sucks because I like Levi's in general, and also Super Mario themed. But when I saw these actual products, I was like, wow, they went a very different direction. The pants are, honestly, I kind of want these, but I want them just like to start doing like the Canardians Corner and start doing videos again, and just like completely like Don Cherry it up, only like not as few people-y and just like a little bit goofy of wearing like a Super Mario suit. And this is like,
it's over the top.
It is so over the top. I love it. I love that they just went for it completely. Right? It's
shorts. It's amazing. There are jorts, my friends. There's fanny packs. There's overalls. I mean.
Yeah, if they wanted to do like 90s style, it was definitely going to be with Levi's. Like, this brings back memories, man. You got to have your red tabs, or else what are you doing with your life? You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness!
Orange tabs, like, just don't even bother.
Yeah, and even on the Levi's patch on the back, it's got little Nintendo logos, and it's they went all in. Why not?
Absolutely.
Who's buying? I'd love to know if you guys are buying these clothes. Like, hit me up. I got to see this thing. Like, let me know. Yeah. I want to know who's buying this stuff.
For sure. But that wasn't the only Nintendo partnership that we learned about this week. They also came out with a Lego tease, and they did both teases the same way, or very similar at least, of like kind of flashing the Super Mario Plus brand insert here. So they did Levi's first, and then they did the same thing with Lego and showed like the Mario face with what looked like, and what we now know was an LCD screen behind it with some animated features. Super weird little tease. No one was sure if this was a real Lego set, a Lego Mario game, or both. And now we know what it is. So one of you guys want to take this one and run? And Sean, I know you've been looking at this and wondering if Lincoln is kind of ready for it or not. So what are your first impressions of what we now know is a Super Mario Lego set with a little extra magic thrown in?
You guys, I just added a link that is, I add so much things I had no clue about this game. So if you just want to pull it up, it's kind of crazy. It's got optical sensors in it. It reads barcodes.
Of course it does.
Open up the link I sent you.
So I noticed, there's a Bluetooth button on the back of Mario that I figured there'd be some interaction with. But wow.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. So a couple of my first thoughts, when I very first saw it, I was like, it kind of looks cheap, to be honest. Like, somebody had mentioned on Twitter,
like a Mega Bloks.
It kind of looks like a bad Happy Meals toy, and I don't entirely disagree. It doesn't look like that typical Lego thing, for better or for worse. Maybe they didn't want it to look like just a different skin on their usual Lego thing, but it does look more like the Duplox or Mega Bloks or something like that. The other thought I had was like, I can't believe it's taken until now for Nintendo and Lego to partner up in this way. Like, this is really the first. But yeah, now I'm looking through all these barcode or these bullet points, and there is so much. They've gone over and above on this thing. That is talking to. It says you're talking to Yoshi makes Mario happy, so he has a little heart on his belly screen, and he has different phrases to say hi or it's a me. Like, oh my gosh. Maybe I do need to check this out. I just don't think it looks very good, but the toy...
There's a color sensor on the bottom of his feet so you can read a selection of the Lego color palette. Like, there is some technology in this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is... it's essentially a game. This is essentially like a board game. Or playing almost like a Mario Party type of, tiled spaces, and it interacts. And I saw the video of the kids playing together, and it's kind of got some interactivity with what happens in this game piece. And apparently they're going to add different options in the future, so you can build it out and build on to the gaming, elements itself. So this is definitely different. And they said this is not the end-all be-all for their relationship. So, I mean, they could do the traditional Lego sets. Something I thought they should have done a long time ago is the Lego game by Traveler's Tales using, Mario, and they could play with that. I mean, that should be awesome.
That's kind of what I thought it was going to be be honest. That was my initial impression was we were going to see a game come from this, but they're saying right now there's no interaction with the Switch or any other Lego consoles. One interesting bit that I just read, and where did that go? Oh, the team wanted to make sure they don't set the figure at such a high price point that nobody can afford it. So they're not doing a get a second job kind of thing.
Like the rest of Lego?
Yeah, really.
Like the rest of the sets are so expensive.
What does Lego consider a high price? Because that's 100% true. So the size ultimately followed from what technology they needed to fit inside it and to make it affordable, I suppose. I'm really curious about pricing on this one, especially like you said, Sean. Is this appropriate for kids and that kind of stuff? And how much do you want to spend for younger kids that might be very much into the Mario stuff and want those figures and gravitate toward Amiibo or any kind of Mario figure versus, one quick shot of this across a room or playing a tiny bit too rough and it shatters any number of these sensors or a screen or the Bluetooth connectivity inside it. This is a very, at least very ambitious kind of project for
typical Nintendo. Can't just do Lego. They got to do it like upside down and backwards reversed, and with a little extra magic tossed into it. But wouldn't it be amazing if they did make a Mario Lego game, and then that was on imagine if that's how you got Mario on PlayStation, was through like a Lego, like a Telltale.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Traveler's Tales.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I mean, WB owns that studio, Traveler's Tales, so they could do a game, and that's how Nintendo has done these things. They partnered with Ubisoft for Mario's Rabbids. So, I mean, I could definitely see this, and it would be a huge game. This would be the typical game they would announce at an E3 and then would be out in 3 months, because that could be their big game for the fall, because everybody would buy this thing.
That would be massive, man. It'd be really Lego Dimensions was the opportunity. Like I was thinking about Sonic levels you got with that, and for some of these like better known mascots to make their way into Lego, like Lego Dimensions that was a special game.
It was pretty great, and on PC actually, it's on PC actually, and they unlocked everything. Or no, it was Disney Infinity. That's what I'm thinking. They unlocked everything. Yes, but they could do that with the Lego Dimension games. Yeah, definitely.
I was really surprised with Lego City Undercover being an exclusive Nintendo game, especially when it launched, that there were no real Nintendo tie-ins. It was such a weird kind of thing. Or when Nintendo got that exclusive game, I kind of expected some Nintendo or Mario Lego sets because of that partnership, and we never really got anything. It was just kind of like here's an exclusive Lego game, have fun. It's GTA bricks.
Nintendo's GTA. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. But nothing more really ever came from that until now, and it's definitely not the way I expected them to do it. But I'll be very curious to see where this goes and how how they handle everything, price included.
Mm-hmm. Just amazed they had broke that exclusive Connects contract.
Yes, I'm sure that was very
knockoff Legos. Yeah. Another good piece of news we got that the world of football is expanding. The NFL has opened up their license now to go back to 2K. Ultimately, what this means, there will not be a standard 2K5 or game like that, but essentially we will get a non-simulation NFL game from 2K. This has me very excited because all I want to play is NFL Blitz, and I can't. Unless I break out a GameCube or a Dreamcast.
Dreamcast, yeah, man.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know how successful the NBA Jam reboot stuff was. I mean, it got a sequel, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
it had
there's
to
what,
at least
NBA
be...
Playgrounds.
That's the Playgrounds. Basically kind of took over the NBA Jam feeling, and there is Playgrounds too. I'm wondering if they saw some success with that and want to do the same thing with NFL. Those are the kind of sports games that get me in. I have zero interest in playing any kind of simulation, but Super Blood Hockey, Playgrounds, whatever sport you can throw at me with some fun, over the top arcadiness, I'll try out.
NFL Street, remember that game? NBA
Cool.
Street.
Yeah.
Remember when Mario
NBA
played
Street,
basketball against real NBA players? That was a good time.
I do not remember that. What the hell was that?
NBA,
really?
NBA Street on GameCube had Mario and Nintendo characters actually in the game, and I've always wanted that. I've always wanted that.
That's awesome.
Sean,
Mario with the concussion.
Yeah, what do you think about the
I'm right with
games?
I'm right with you, man. Like it's something that it hits the nostalgia feels big time, but at the same time, like I don't know, like I want something like almost like in between. Like that's kind of where, like, when I was playing sports games for sure was back in the day, was somewhere between Blitz but then like hardcore Madden, right? Like that's where like the sweet spot was for me, but that's very personal to me, and it does seem like you're probably better off making a game that's what you have with Madden now, which I think has a massive audience, one of the most successful games on a yearly basis, and then FIFA and NHL kind of like sit in that same space. But yeah, man, there's always like that great in NHL. There's like the 3-on-3 mode, which I had a lot of fun with, in the game that you could just kind of like pick up and play. But I don't remember hearing too much on the NBA Playgrounds other than like it's there, it's fine. I just actually hope, this is me just wishing beyond wish, that this is just a bit of a crack in the exclusivity around some of these licenses, kind of like what we just saw with MLB. Now PlayStation is not the only place to have the show. That the license now is that Sony now has to make a game that is available on Xbox and potentially even Switch as well. I would just like to see more of that. I don't think anybody really likes one console getting one license, or even one company being able to make one sport. I'd like to see more and more of that. Like those are really the classic days of NFL 2K. Really, just 2K, I think, was some of the original stuff. So hopefully this is like us getting back to that. Blitz would be great to have for sure, but it's not big enough to have like a moment in games, other than you have it on a weekend, maybe you play it a couple times, and that's probably it. So hopefully it just is more, there's more to it than just that.
Yeah, and at this point, this may be the only way you play a football game on the Switch, which is just very sad.
That's crazy. No kidding.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. Then we get into something that's not so happy, and that is everything is canceled, gentlemen. Everything is canceled. E3 has been canceled. We've got GDC has been canceled. Pokemon Go and Wizards Unite events have been canceled. BAFTA Game Awards is going to be online only. Microsoft is going to have their GDC presentations online. Esports are down now. Ultimately, do you expect any events to be actually happen this year?
Gosh,
gaming wise or other.
It's tough, man. You just like to be able to see, like, at what point in time can we get back to it, but it doesn't seem like there's any light at the end of the tunnel here. I don't know. I would like it, but obviously you don't really have any control over it. So at some point, somebody is going to have to be either we get the all clear from kind of like the World Health Organization or something, or maybe it'll come from like wrestling. But even wrestling just had SmackDown in front of nobody. It had an empty arena. So it seems like we're in the thick of it now, but you have to think eventually we'll get back to the normal. So who is that going to be? Like, somebody's kind of gonna have to step out with a little bit of courage, I think, and people will have to have courage to buy the tickets to whatever that thing is going to be. But certainly there's an opportunity when everything shuts down and that becomes our normal for a short little while. There's going to be like a spark where somebody goes like, our first like thing, and maybe it's the NHL coming back or NBA coming back on after their brief pause. But I don't know. Right now, it's some of these events that are getting canceled are months away. Like E3 is like 3 months away at least. So I don't know. There's not really any hope other than we know where things could get back to.
Yeah, so in the meantime, with E3 being on top of mind, obviously we've already got announcements from Nintendo saying they're going to do things. Microsoft is going to do things. At this point, what about the other players though? The Ubisofts, the Capcoms, the Konamis. Well, Konami, we do not want them doing any more conferences ever again. But what about the other the ones that play large, typically off the coattails of an Xbox, a Nintendo, maybe have their own conference? Are they strong enough to do their own? I know Ubisoft wanted to do something because they have a lot of new games coming out this year because they didn't release anything this year. So
yeah, and there's strong rumors about WB having their very first conference and talking about the new Batman game and Harry Potter. And yeah, man, that's really tricky. And what I think about is, like, with Microsoft particularly having the only show last year, and they were gunning up to have the only show press conference at E3 this year. I'm kind of, just as an Xbox fan, kind of hoping that they're reaching out to some of these big and small developers, and they create it as part of their whatever presentation that they do, that they make sure that they leverage those partnerships, again, big and small. Like the WB thing, all of these, like, really, any of us can create our own thing. You see it with Kind of Funny. They do a big showcase as well. Shout out to Barry Dunn, does his Impact Direct.
Impact Direct.
That's
right.
Yep.
And so it's not like, especially like a WB, they could easily put something together and get their message out there. But I think it would be even more impactful for one of the platforms to really create something. In PlayStation Land, I think it's interesting because at the start of the year, they were saying they're not going to be at E3, but they're going to do hundreds of events throughout the year, and obviously it's almost like they jinxed it. They're like,
and nothing has happened to this
like,
day.
and they can't. I don't know what exactly they had planned. That would have been, I don't know if it's better or worse if they would have told us what we could have expected from them, but they just said there will be fan events, and 2020 has canceled all of them. So it'll be interesting. I was saying to Ryan on the Xbox Drive this week how I just kind of, as much as it's limiting, I'm kind of interested to see what platforms and marketers are doing through this limitation. You have to create new ways of reaching your audience. You just can't go, well, I guess there's the coronavirus everywhere, we can't do anything. Like, business, the show must go on. So it'd be really interesting to see what ways they're going to try and work around this.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting too. People are like myself. My company said don't come to work and work from home for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know how you collaborate and build a big event and keep those things going in a environment where you want to be around people. You want to be able to say, hey, what do you think about this? It's much harder in a Skype environment to do that type of very spontaneous type of planning. So I'm curious how they're going to still do these things. Can people work from home and build a presentation? Can they great graphics without that type? I don't know. Do they have the work horsepower PCs to do the things they need to do from home?
That's a good point. Yeah, it's not even just like, are these companies big enough, but can they actually get together and operate? Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting thing to go into of and one thing I've been thinking about is timing of everything. Will we still see online conferences happen in the same, let's say, E3 week, even though E3 is not a thing? Will we still see Microsoft and Nintendo and Ubisoft and WB or whoever was planning some sort of presentation during that E3 timeline, or will they spread it out a little bit? Will we still get that news dump at that time of the year, or will this be spread out throughout the entire summer as people take a step back and wait until they, like you said, they can collaborate and make this, make sure they do this right? It's definitely, it's going to be an interesting thing to see, is there still something to celebrate in June or whatever, like we usually do. Or is this going to be completely different? Is this going to be online digital events? Or one thing I was thinking about is, could companies take a game? I know, Fortnite has been famous over the past couple of years of doing these big in-game events, whether it was Rise of Skywalker, Marshmallow, concerts, that kind of thing. Are there games that could also do this? Could Destiny host something where it's a live world where you can go in and watch a trailer, somewhere? Could they do that with The Division, where you go into New
Times
York
Square
or somewhere, right? Yeah, and there's
so
giant
cool.
screens that are saying, just for that interactivity bit of, you drop in with your friends somewhere. Are there games or ways that they can do that in at least a bit of an interactive way that doesn't feel like I'm just sitting at home watching something on YouTube, which is fine. But I think having some interaction, whether they do it in Twitch and you can, hit the chat or something like that. But I think finding interesting ways to do it, whether it's, like I said, in a game live, is that possible with other games, or is Fortnite just doing things that no other developer is even attempting to right now, or even on their radar? Does that show the flexibility of their engine or what they can do, or that team? Or will we see those? Is this going to be the catalyst for a Ready Player One type world where, we can jump in and the three of us.
Second Life.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Are
PlayStation Home, guys. Sony already solved this.
Let's get it.
Sony already solved this.
What I will double down on is Devolver Digital will come out with something so over the top and wrong. Like, they will be leaning into this thing big time, and I cannot
100%.
wait to see it. Where maybe some people were thinking that last year was getting a little bit old, that like same old from Devolver.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna kind of like South Park this thing, I think, where it's just like, let's call it out, let's just go right in, dive head, and go 10 feet farther than you thought. Like, way beyond. The line is a dot at this point.
Yep.
They're gonna break into people's houses and just show up and do a presentation just in front of individual families.
I think they're just gonna be licking their hands and putting them on their faces and stuff. Like, just really just like leaving like really snotty. Oh God, it's gonna be terrible.
Disgusting. Very disgusting. Yeah. Well, that takes us out of the news, and we need to pick up the hotline because it is ringing.
Yes. Ho ho ha ha! Remember me, old chum? You jolly devil.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, you guys are doing well. Luke Lohr here, the Insipid Ghost. You asked for a message about video games, and you are getting one. One of my favorite things about video games is when I get into a universe, when I get into a game, and then I want to consume all the games in that series, read the comic books, read the novels, listen to the lore, watch YouTube videos about it. I've done it for Halo and Gears, and most recently Darksiders. And it's one of the best things about video games, that it transcends multiple media types, and that we're able to play, watch, listen in so many different ways. And that's truly what I wanted to tell you guys about, just the idea that when universes are created, we can have a blast in them. So I want to know what universes you guys have delved into beyond just the video game, and what worlds are you currently exploring. That's it for me. Take care, guys.
Thank you, Luke, for the great call. Gentlemen, you heard Luke's question. So what type of video game world has then opened your minds up to other media associated with it?
Well, I know this really well about Luke, that Luke loves lore. And so I'm not, as soon as he asked the question, I'm like, I'm not surprised about this in the least. And Luke and I often talked about this back on the Xbox Drive, that he was much more into it than I was. But so at first I was just saying to Mark, like, I don't know if I have like a great answer for this. Other than Dragon Age Origins is absolutely my answer. It's the game that it wasn't necessarily like the books, although I need to go check out. There are some really good books that explore that. But it is the game that I went all over the internet to discover more about, and the different choices and what other people's takes that were on it. It is absolutely Dragon Age. There's so much lore there. So that's mine.
Sean, did you ever watch I believe there was a Dragon Age anime?
What?
That was out. Yes, I believe there was. Obviously, there's books and comics and things, but I will look that up for you because I believe there is.
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. I'm right back into it, man. It's just like, and I know that we're still a couple of years out from the next Dragon Age, and I just kind of wish that they, as much as I want them to fix Anthem, I just need them to give me my next Dragon Age, man. Holy crap, I love that series.
Here it is. Dragon Age, Dawn of the Seeker, 2012.
It's an anime?
Anime. It's 6 parts. Web series.
Dude, I'm so in.
I guess we know what Sean's doing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Todd, do you have an answer for this? I have a couple of things, but I'll let you go first with this one.
I do. It was when I got my awesome Hewlett-Packard PC in college. It was a 486 SX 25 megahertz. It was a powerful beast. I played a game called Betrayal at Krondor. It was a old school CRPG. Really loved it. Fell in love with the game. and I didn't realize it was based on a series of books. I'm like, what? So I kind of discovered it backwards. So then after playing the game, absolutely loved it. Got into the book series by Raymond E. Feast. Absolutely loved it. And it just blew my mind. They made a sequel to it, which wasn't very good. And it was just my eye-opening. And since then, I actually got to interview the author. It was fantastic, and I just loved it because it was like I didn't realize a video game could actually get me excited for something else with the source material. So I just love that when media can just act where it is. I think The Witcher 3 is at that point right now where it's like people are just now discovering the books after playing the games and everything else. So it's kind of backwards, but I love it.
Nice.
Nice. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, for me, a couple come to mind. Halo is one that I've read a couple of the books, and tried to watch any kind of animated or TV show. Some of them have been decent, some of them have been not great, but I like any kind of lore that I can get from that. Assassin's Creed is another one that comes to mind, that the comic books, any kind of thing that I can read, because I love the history aspect and how they can grab in different bits and pieces of history or times that we haven't seen in the video games, even playing the offshot video games that aren't mainline, but whether they were on DS or other consoles, the 2D side-scrolling ones or whatever it is, have been something that I've definitely dived into a few times. Even watched the movie, even though that was a snooze fest. I don't know how they screwed up Assassin's Creed so bad for a movie there, but they did. Mercy. But that's. I do love when video games do this. One for me that you mentioned kind of a reversal of something based on a book, Jedi Fallen Order. That was one of the reasons why that was my game of the year last year, was because I love Star Wars so much, and it's not just the movies. I actually just found, they've got to be around here somewhere, rearranging things and moving things out of what's now going to become the baby's room. I found all my Jedi Young Jedi books from way back, where it was Han and Leia's twins, Jason and Jaina, and their Jedi training and that kind of stuff. I found all my old books, so I want to reread those. But basically, since that far back, I've loved anything that expands that Star Wars universe, and Fallen Order, for me, really did that, and looked into a time when, the Jedis were kind of outcast and that kind of thing, and showing something that was not really related to the Skywalkers in any way was really interesting for me, and I hope they keep going with that kind of thing, and showing a few more places across that universe that might have been going on at the same time, but were not exactly in that lineage. So I really, really enjoyed Fallen Order for those specific reasons. It was expanding on that lore and expanding on that universe, both figuratively and literally. So anything like that, I love that video games can jump into those worlds and make you a part of those worlds, and it's great.
Yeah, and this made me think about Mass Effect. It's a series I absolutely loved, and I don't know when we're getting another Mass Effect. Didn't love Andromeda, but I realize now there's a lot of other material out there on Mass Effect. So I actually am excited to actually check that out. They made an anime back in the day, apparently. Didn't know that. They have comics. They have books. So I think I may explore those because I love the world they created, and like just like TV shows, when they go away, sometimes they'll show up as comic books and books as well. So it's nice to have that universe continue and really keep the fans alive.
For me, like I think you're bang on with the Jedi Fallen Order is like a good example, but I think there's actually more bad examples of trying to do here's what else is existing in this world, and like I think that's a really tricky thing to do, and there's been a couple lately that have captured our imaginations and have been really great, but I think still the rule rather than the exception is for this side character you've never heard of, you don't care about, is off doing this whole thing. It's like that's got to be rooted in something really strong, like Order 666. It's been joked so much that it's 666 that I'm like, what the hell is it again? But like think about like Lost, like the Lost game, like here's this character that wasn't on the show, like
there was
on
a
the
Lost
island.
game?
It's like Diadomus or something like that. It's terrible. And Mass Effect is another good example where that universe is primed, literally is primed for other stories and other cool things to be happening. But to Luke's point, like that's why I've kind of like maybe steered away from that in the past, is because so often it's like it does feel B, C, or D grade type of material. But I'm hoping that as this becomes more and more popular, and it doesn't seem like just a license kind of toss in or a cash grab, that maybe it becomes a little bit more like top tier kind of stuff. But in the past, I have always felt like it's not the main thing, so like should I really even care about it? And it doesn't have like the main writer or somebody involved in it. When it does, you can always tell. So
yeah, for sure.
Nice. Well, that is it for the podcast. So, Sean, once again, I want to thank you for being on. Tell people how they can find you on the interwebs.
Oh, thanks, guys, for having me on. I'm like, we feel like we just got started. You can find me on Twitter at Sean Capri. Of course, it's Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. There's a bunch of shows that you can check out, but the one that I'll kind of echo is the one that Mark brought up. We the Gamercast, you can listen to on all your podcast services of choice. It's We the Gamercast on Twitter as well. Got to get you guys back on the show, by the way. We should definitely check that out right away. Well, actually, you know what? We've been doing a lot of like, hey, let's listen to new dad stories. Chelsea and I did a story way back when Lincoln was born. We had our conversation back then. So we'll let you kind of get settled in, Mark, and then Todd was on the show as well. Both you guys have been on the show before, but definitely have to have you back on.
Yeah, I love the episode where the gentleman talked about logos and made us excited about logos. That was hilarious.
Dude, I know. Like anything like people are just like geeking out about, like tell me about it. I love that stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I love that show. It can go for something incredibly heart-touching and personal and have you crying right alongside people. Jacob Rush instantly comes to mind. And Jacob, if you're listening to this, I love you, buddy.
Yeah.
He's got some stuff going on, but that's all I'll touch on that. But you can have an episode like that, and then you can have an episode following that immediately the week after where you're like, oh man, can I listen to this show again? And it ends up being something where it's a deep dive into like, hey, did you know the history of Aquaman? I'm going to tell you and geek out about that right now. I'm looking at an Aquaman statue. That's why that just popped into my head. On top of an Aquaman Lego and a bobblehead. I like
need to talk to you about Aquaman. maybe. Just a topic.
Mark does live in Atlantis.
Baca Ridge, Twitch streamer was just on, and he was geeking out. Like we covered the gamut, man. He was all about Destiny, and he's like, "Here's what you need to do to get into anime." Like I love it, man. So yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on and let me geek out about the shows a little bit. We the Gamercast is a special thing for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sean. And Mark.
Sorry, Yumi and Capri. 14 minutes ago, patrons just got early access to Cuppa Joe and Nintendo. I just got the notification on Twitter. I just looked at. So
I'm not even on it. Yeah, like Justin Massett's on the show this week.
Oh, great! Now I have to do hate tweet Bobby again. Damn it!
Sorry, Todd. I interrupted there for a little Twitter. Twitter plug.
That's perfectly fine. I am the official troll of If We Ran Nintendo, though. So that's I have to continue that. You guys don't take my questions anymore. Damn it. Oh, well. Well, that is it for the show. You can follow us at Toxtra and at The Canardian on Twitter. We have a Facebook group at Secret Friends Unite, and we have a podcast page. You can call us on the hotline, 872-225-2496, once again, to be entered into a contest. Leave a short message, talk about something you love, or a review, something you want to share with us on the show. Great. You get entered into the contest for Sean's code. Thank you very much for that, Sean. You can also leave an iTunes review and get entered as well. We will announce the winner of that, I believe, in 2 weeks on our next podcast, Mark.
Awesome. All right. Looking forward to hearing from everyone.
Everybody stay safe. And remember, it's always better to game together.
It's Mario! Look, Ronald, Mario's mystery block makes him big.
And my magic box makes us lunch.
What's in McDonald's Happy Meal? One of 4 Nintendo Super Mario Brothers 3 toys. A Mario toy that jumps, or an acrobatic little Goomba, a pullback Luigi, or a hopping Cuppa Paratroopa. One toy with each Happy Meal you buy.